What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and I probably should have done this episode a minute ago because the thing that inspired, I guess, me to do it was, it happened a minute ago, and if I'm not reacting to it necessarily because it's been out there. The people know it, but I just thought since we've had these big reveals happen for the MCU, that I should take another look at the state that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in right now. I did an episode called "Redeeming the MCU," where it's gonna be similar to this episode, but I think in that episode we more focused on what the MCU is struggling with and how they can improve on that in their already established and put out movies. In this episode, I'm more going to be taking a look at their future upcoming projects and how they're going about that and how I think it bodes for the MCU. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so obviously, I'm a little late to the party, but RDJ is Doctor Doom, you guys. So yeah, obviously that was a huge deal, and if this is the first time you're hearing about it, I'm assuming that this is the only time you ever have internet access because it's kind of everywhere and it's a little bit of a big deal because obviously RDJ, Iron Man's dead, so that's a pretty good reason to not go back to playing a character as they're dead. I mean, you could do flashbacks and whatnot, but like if they die, that's pretty much it for you playing them. But of course, money is a thing, and Doctor Doom is also a thing, and there was a lot of speculations on who's going to play Doctor Doom. There were already rumors about RDJ, and of course, at the recent Comic-Con, he came forth and in big dramatic fashion revealed that he was going to be the one to play Doctor Doom. And it was a big deal. People were excited, even though they already thought it might be a thing. Still, for the actor himself to come up there and confirm that he's returning to another huge role is exciting, and it's a big deal. So yeah, my thoughts about it is, I mean, he's doing it for money, so I don't think there's any other reason that he's doing it. I mean, I'm not saying he's completely doing it for money. I shouldn't say that. He might, it's, he's an actor. That's what he does. So it's not completely about money, I guess. But also, money is a thing. So, he would do it. It makes sense that he would do this. But I am actually going to be excited about this because clearly, like, he's Tony Stark. RDJ is Tony Stark, and he did a fantastic job on that. And that, like, he showed us that he's a very good actor. So, besides Tony Stark, I don't think I've seen him play any other role. So that's the thing with this. It's exciting. We know RDJ is a good actor, and we know Doctor Doom is a big role. And it's cool to see him come back and not ruin Tony's ending. That's nice. But can RDJ play a character that's not Tony Stark? Of course, I don't know what he's been doing since or during Avengers. Like, I don't know any of the other roles he's played, but he was just so in sync with Tony Stark's character. It was like, that was why he was so perfect with it. That was why the character was so liked and everyone was so, like, just into his story. And he, ended the character well, and it was just very satisfying and well done. But RDJ and Tony Stark just became incredibly similar. So, and Doctor Doom, I would say he has some similarities to Tony Stark, but he's also very different. Like, he's just a different character. And so the challenge with this is, can he not just turn him into Tony Stark? Or, obviously they could do something where maybe Tony Stark is Doctor Doom. I hope they don't, because he's not, and I don't like that. And, Tony died. Tony had an amazing arc, and he died. please let him be dead. Like, don't touch that. It was good. You did it well, so don't mess it up. And, but yeah, uh, I hope they just do it normally. Just Victor, what is it? Victor Von Doom, I think is his name. I don't, Doctor Doom is not one of my favorite villains. I don't know too much about him. I haven't even read that many comics with him in it. I mean, I know about him because he's just like, with him being super famous in comics, I know about him. Just like, not a big fan of him. Not that I dislike him, I just don't care, one way or the other. But I know he's a big deal. So I think that is in RDJ's wheelhouse to pull Doctor Doom off, Victor Von Doom specifically. Just I think he has to just work to not make it Tony Stark, because it was great when he did Tony Stark, but we want something different from this. We're moving away from it. They're trying to move away from these characters. They're trying to make new characters important, and you've already tied up Tony's whole story, so let's not go back. Don't reverse anything. You've been doing pretty good actually so far. So the other big deal with this announcement was that the Avengers 5, which was at first titled Avengers Kang Dynasty, then changed to Avengers 5, has now been changed, like, hopefully for the last time, to Avengers Doomsday, which means they are officially moving away from Kang and making Doctor Doom the big bad of the next Avengers movie, which, again, is a really big deal. So my thoughts on that: it's sad that they moved away from Kang, because Jonathan Majors was just doing such a good job, and like, Kang's a weird villain too. Kang is pretty trippy, especially in the comics. I mean, they did it, and so what I'm saying is, like, they did he and Marvel, because they wrote it, but Jonathan Majors did such a good job of not making him just like a really weird, creepy kind of villain and like odd alien, confusing plans kind of guy. He made him very interesting and kind of cool in like a villain way, and he just made him a great villain. And he did so well with the character in every movie he was in, even Quantumania, which a lot of people didn't like. Just his performance, I think, was still very, very good, and I liked the movie a lot more than most people did anyway. But every time Jonathan Majors was Kang, he did an excellent job. So it is sad that they're moving away. And, like, even Jonathan Majors said that he was sad about it. Because, Kang was a big deal. I mean, he is a big deal. He's a big villain. So the thing with that is, I just don't know how they're going to justify that. Story-wise, I'm sure it's not really going to be that big of a deal. I mean, you can't do much with him, and, like, much explaining of him not being there, with the actor not being there to show what happened. But I guess they'll probably just say, like, Ant-Man. I mean, because Ant-Man did beat one of the Kang variants, and they could probably just say something like, yeah, he did it, he's good, it made it actually good, so, alright. Or maybe Doctor Doom, like, killed all the Kangs. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna have a hard time with it. I'm just, like, it's not something that I have any ideas for. And it is sad. But the thing is, Doctor Doom is a big enough villain to fill Kang's shoes, I think. Because, again, even though I don't like him, I know that he is a big deal, and he's not going to be, like, the big, big bad, because the Skrulls are coming after him anyway, and he's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie, so I think the way that they're actually doing this makes a lot of sense. He makes perfect sense as a Fantastic Four villain, and, like, moving on from the Fantastic Four to the Avengers movie, it'll probably work really well with the story if they do it right. But he is big enough, even though he's a big Fantastic Four villain, he's smart enough, powerful enough, like a big bad enough to have his own Avengers movie where he is the big bad. But he's not like the biggest bad, because again, he's not the most powerful, but he is a big deal. And it will be nice for him to just be a sort of smaller big bad, He's not an alien, he's not some all-powerful alien with, like, going into space and finding the space rocks, which they did that really well. But he's kind of more, he's a lot smaller scale, I feel, than the other ones. He's done some pretty, like, notable things, powerful things, but he's more, and I don't want to say he's just a dude because I'm not sure what he is exactly. Like, I don't even know, like, his mask. Obviously, his mask is not his face, but he's a little confusing. I don't know too much about who he is and what he can do, but I'm pretty sure he's not even, like, super powered. I think he's just, like, really, really, really smart, like Tony Stark. Which, again, is another reason why I think RDJ could pull it off, and I'm pretty cool with that. As long as he's not an exact replica of Tony Stark. But for a smaller scale villain who is big enough to, like, have his own Avengers movie, but he's also not, he's also, like, small enough to point to a even bigger threat, I think Doctor Doom will work just fine. I don't, I think Kang was gonna be kind of risky anyway because he's so odd as a character, and he's really powerful in a way that's hard to define, and it's a weird spot that he's in as a character. He's a really famous character. He's really important, and the Avengers fighting all powerful villains is something they do all the time, but it's just easier and a little safer and a little more easy to follow when the villain is not as huge and crazy powerful and also doesn't have 13 million variants just sitting around waiting to pop in when the one of them dies. It's a little more comforting, I'll say, to know that they're not going quite as big with their villain, because to me, like, thinking about it, Avengers the King Dynasty to a movie about the Skrulls is, like, kind of a step down. Because even though the Skrulls are a big deal and very powerful and all these things, compared to Kang, they're not that big of a deal. So to go from Kang to Skrulls is a little bit of a, like, imbalance, I guess. It's kind of going from greater to lesser, which is not a good idea. You need to be building up. And I think that's what they're going to be doing with Doctor Doom, because he is just one dude. He's not all powerful. He doesn't have crazy superpowers or a bajillion variants council thing to fall back on. He is just a good villain. And that's, he's a good bad guy, and that's basically where it stops. And the Skrulls are a bigger deal than Doctor Doom is, so Doctor Doom can be leading up to the Skrulls in a way that I think it would kind of be a little odd for Kang to do, because, he's just too powerful, and I think that it'll actually maybe work better than Kang, because I really had no idea how they were going to do a Kang story, like, after Ant-Man and Loki, and there's just so many of them. Even though Jonathan Majors did so great, it's not his fault that Kang is just an odd, hard to define character. So in the end, even though I would like to see him play him one last time, I think I'm glad that they're gonna step back and focus on Doctor Doom. And, I think it'd be cool for me to, see more about Doctor Doom as well, because the comics that have Doctor Doom in them tend to be either Fantastic Four comics, which I'm not super into anyway, or just, like, the really weird ones like Infinity War. So I think it'll be cool because he'll be in not as a crazy weird setting, and he'll, I'll get to see that explained a little more digestibly, I guess, for me. So that'll be nice. I think overall it's a positive thing. RDJ and Doctor Doom being the main villain, I think that the announcements are all generally good. So, knowing all these things, seeing where we're looking at them go, and just getting these updates, I also wanted to look at how maybe this affects how I'm looking at the upcoming projects. So I mostly focus the ones that I care about, because I don't care about Blade, or there was another one that I didn't really care about. But, and, the ones that are more important to the MCU, because Blade, I just don't, I'm not I'm not really seeing any hype for Blade, really. I'm not interested. But again, I don't know that much about Blade, and I literally have not heard anything about what the movie was going to be or is going to be, or if it's happening for real this time. I don't know. I don't know anything about Blade, so we're not gonna be talking about that. And there's another movie that I think I skipped. But we're gonna look at the like bigger ones, the ones that are a little bit more meaningful, I guess, to the MCU, and also just the ones that I wanted to talk about. So that's really the criteria here, just so you know. So I'll go from like the ones that are coming the soonest, like the ones that are going to be released first, to in release order of the future. So we'll of course start with the next one to be released, which is Captain America: Brave New World. So I have actually already seen the trailer. I did a video where I reacted to the trailer for the first time. You can go watch that. You should go watch that. I mean, it's pretty good because it's on my podcast, so it's great. And I did react to it, and I saw it for the first time. I didn't have super positive initial reactions, but I don't think that it necessarily is a bad tiding on the MCU, because for me, the thing that made it boring, I didn't think it was going to be a something that I thought was a bad movie, I guess. I just wouldn't be interested in it, because it seemed to have a lot to do with governmental stuff, kind of more nitty gritty detail stuff, and less superhero action, and it was a little more just down to earth, I guess. Which I don't. It's not really what I look for in a superhero movie, personally. But I'm not too upset about it not looking super interesting to me, because one, I am all for giving Sam a chance as Captain America. That's not a problem with me. I'm completely fine with legacy heroes unless they are done for no reason at all. Sam has a very good reason, one of Captain America's longest standing friends, so it works. And Cap gave him the shield. There's no tension there. And they went through a whole thing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so I'm good with it. It's cool. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I don't love Sam as a character. I like Bucky more, and I would have liked to see Bucky be Captain America, because he was in the comics. I would have liked to see that more, but that's just because I like Bucky more as a character. He's a little more fun, but I have no problem with Sam as Cap. And also, they're introducing Red Hulk, which is pretty cool. It's, the guy who is Red Hulk has been in the MCU for a minute, so that'll be nice. And I don't know why or what he's gonna do or what the story's gonna be, but it's a character that I know, so that it's cool. That'll probably be pretty cool. And also, newsflash, you guys, you're never gonna believe this, but the guy who plays General Ross is actually Harrison Ford. See, yeah, I am aware that I'm the only one who didn't realize that upon first seeing the trailer, but I had a few sources tell me that that's Harrison Ford. And I was like, oh dang, he got old. But that is what happens. But that's cool. I like Harrison Ford as much as the next person. I don't even like Star Wars, but I like Harrison Ford, so there you go. So that'll be nice. And I'm what I never said when I reacted to it. I don't think it's gonna be some disaster or anything. I don't think it's gonna bomb. I don't think it's going to be stupid or whatever. I don't think it's gonna be any kind of disaster. The only thing it is in danger of is being woke, which the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show fell into a couple of times. But I also think that movies in general are learning that just gets them less money, and even though they might, still not be changing their own perspectives, they are at least learning not to put it in all of their movies and shove it in every corner. So that's a good thing. So I think it's less likely for them to get super woke. That'll be the only thing that I'm a little wary of for it. Other than that, just the topic and the story, the way the story looked was not super appealing to me, but I don't think it'll be like a bad movie by MCU standards. So the next movie that's going to release after the new Captain America that I am talking about is the Thunderbolts asterisk movie, which I still don't know what the asterisk means, but asterix? I don't actually know how to say that word. I'm just gonna call it Thunderbolts though. So that's this one, even though it doesn't have a trailer or anything. The idea of it is way more appealing to me in the first place than the Captain America thing, because Captain America wasn't even my favorite character anyway. I didn't. He's a little too good boy for me. But the Thunderbolts movie is going to focus on a lot of characters that I really do like. I think every character actually that's going to like be front and center in the Thunderbolts movie is a character that I really like. You got Bucky, you got Yelena, Red Guardian, which I remember the name. So I guess uh, I mean, maybe Yelena will go White Widow, and then I don't know if Bucky still goes by Winter Soldier, but you got Red Guardian, then you have Ghost, who was from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Just Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah. And then you have that lady, Val is her name. I think that's who she is. I couldn't tell who that other lady was in the picture, but then you have U.S. Agent, and the only one of those characters that I don't actually really enjoy is U.S. Agent, and because he sucks, but he's supposed to, so that actually works as well. I think he was supposed to suck. I mean, he's supposed to be like not Captain America, so we weren't supposed to like him. I think I'm pretty sure that's what they were getting at. So obviously we know a lot less about the Thunderbolts plot than we do, Captain America or like anything like that. There's not too many details about it. We know the characters, we know it's like the tone, I guess. So it's kind of presenting itself as dark Avengers because that's essentially what it is. That's who these characters are associated with in the comics, and that's kind of the vibe that they're going for. So it's kind of going to be that's the vibe they're going for. A little bit darker, maybe a little bit grittier than the Avengers, but still technically doing the right thing. So it's like a Suicide Squad type deal, but like with a lot better moral compasses, just a little bit darker. Just Avengers dark. They're not like super murderers or anything. Just a little bit darker, a little bit less morally inclined, I guess. A little bit morally gray there, which is fun. I like anti-heroes, and it's a whole squad of anti-heroes, so that's great. I am more excited about this one because, again, I love all these characters, and I like the idea of the tone being just Avengers dark, but like, please don't make it R, because then I can't see it, because even when I think, hey, maybe it's like a light R, it never is. There's no such thing as a light R, except for like Braveheart. But I mean, just don't make it R. Let me go see it, because I really want to see Deadpool Wolverine, but then I couldn't because it was not a light R. Anyway, as long as they like don't make it R or anything, I'm pretty excited because I like it. It's a little more darker, probably gonna be a little bit more intense, I guess, action wise. I hope, because these characters are that way. So yeah, I'm more excited about Thunderbolts. It's probably the one that I really am hopeful for, I guess, out of all the next ones that I have talked about and am going to talk about. So the next one that I'm going to talk about in release order is probably, I feel like it means the most to how the MCU does and how it goes. Like, especially before the next Avengers movies come, this is like pretty fundamental, because it will most likely at least if he isn't the villain for the entire movie, then they'll probably at least kind of introduce Doctor Doom in some way, because he is pretty much their villain in the comics. So I'm talking about the movie Fantastic Four, which is the next one in release order, I think. Maybe Blade comes up before that, but I don't know. So I feel like this is a very important movie that's coming up for the MCU as like a, just like, stabilizing their popularity again. I feel like this is a very important moment and they need to get this right because the Fantastic Four as a team are obviously iconic. They like kind of saved comics when they were first introduced. They're a big deal and the movies have not been great. They've both really just didn't work and they were weird and yeah, the movies haven't worked so far. So this is a chance to really pay homage and do justice to a really iconic superhero team from the comics and also fix everything they done did with those other movies that need not be named. I mean, they're both named Fantastic Four, but still. So, what we know about this, again, not too much plot wise, but we do know the cast, which, I mean, we know the cast of Thunderbolts, but that's because they're already established characters. These are new characters, and we know who is going to play them. And so I can't remember the names of the other three, but I mean, they looked the part, and I don't think they chose someone like really terrible. And they don't look super wildly drastically different. They look like they're supposed to look, so it's pretty cool. But I know that Pedro Pascal is going to play Mr. Fantastic, which I know a little bit more about him than the others. And he's a good actor, so I think he'll be able to pull it off. Haven't seen him do too much. I've just seen him on SNL, and he did great on that. So that's pretty good in my book. And I think he's like a pretty good all-around actor. He can do a lot of different roles, and I think that he will be able to handle doing Mr. Fantastic. I mean, I hope he is. So that's important. But the cast, I'm pretty hopeful about the cast. Everything I've seen about the cast has I've not been like, oh, that sounds like a terrible choice. It's been pretty like, okay, that sounds reasonable. I think that will not be a problem. The only thing was that I can't tell. I couldn't get a straight answer from the internet on this one, but I think they're like doing a female Silver Surfer instead of like the guy, which I'm pretty sure there is a female Silver Surfer in the comics, but like you're kind of introducing the Silver Surfer into the MCU, and he's like usually a dude, so I don't see why they would do that, and I hope I'm wrong about it, and I hope they don't do that, but I mean, I don't love Silver Surfer, so it's not really terrible, I guess, but I wish they would just do, who he is and the version of the character that we know, but it's whatever, I guess. It's not the worst thing. They could have made Doctor Doom a female. And that would have been rough. But I guess since there is a prominent female, well, not super prominent, but there is an existing and has made more than one appearance female Silver Surfer in the comics, I guess it's not the worst thing. So yeah. So we don't know much about the plot. Again, don't even know if Doctor Doom is going to be like the villain for it or if he's just going to be introduced somehow. I don't know about these things, but I am so far pretty optimistic about it as a whole. The cast and just the way that the MCU is kind of learning to take its time and do justice to its heavy hitters is it's like I'm pretty optimistic about this one. I feel like they're not gonna screw it up. I feel like it's gonna be at least a decent, at least a decent movie. Because it kind of has to be, because the next two movies that they're lining up are supposed to be huge, big, giant deals. So you have to set this one up right to get us to care about the next two. So I think they can pull it off. As of now, I haven't seen anything that completely makes me doubt them. So I'm feeling good about this one. So the next one that will be coming out is Avengers Doomsday. Already said a lot about this, just like we're pertaining to Doctor Doom being the villain. So I love a good superhero team up movie. I don't know who's teaming up. I don't know how they're teaming up. We just don't know enough about it. But it's supposed to be a Avengers team up movie, and we'll be connecting stories that we've seen and characters that we like, and so that all is exciting. And again, Doctor Doom should work as a villain, probably coming from the Fantastic Four movie and transitioning to this, where he's doing something like super big and everybody has to come together. So it all I haven't heard enough to feel super strongly, but I again feel I would like I am hopeful for this movie as well, and I would like to see them do this well because it's you know it's a superhero team up movie, and good superhero team movies are super exciting and fun, and also it needs to lead into Secret Wars, which is also going to be a very big deal. So about Secret Wars, which is the next big thing, and I know they have like a ton of other projects that they're probably, I guess, eventually going to do, maybe. But for sure, they are set. They're pretty set on Avengers: Secret Wars, it seems. So again, I don't know how they're gonna go from Doctor Doom to the Skrulls. I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know what the plot, why the Skrulls, which Skrulls are doing this thing. So I don't know what they're doing with it. By the way, I did watch Secret Invasion. Thought it was way overhated. Like, I didn't. Not overrated. That's not what I meant. Stupid outline. Stupid autocorrect. I thought it was overhated. Like, I thought people got way too, like, upset about it. There were some pretty cool moments in there, and the story was pretty solid, I thought. So, it had some pretty great moments. But, I mean, there were some rough patches. Just, I didn't think it was, like, as horrible and terrible as everyone was screaming about on the internet. But, you know, it was a Skrull story, but it kind of resolved, basically. Like, not all the way, obviously, but a big part of it resolved, so it's probably not going to be on the same vein as Secret Invasion was. It's going to probably be a lot different, so I just don't know what they're going to do to make the Skrulls bad again. I don't know which Skrulls are going to be doing it, so just don't know much about it. What we do know is that there's going to be a ton, like, they have promised us so many characters. I'm pretty sure they had like a number, and it was a big number of characters. And that gets me excited if they could pull it off, especially with all the new characters that they have that are actually cool, that they will like actually get to see interact with each other. That'll be all cool and fun and good. So I am excited. As far as from the little information that I know, it's exciting information. There has been nothing to, deter me from feeling optimistic about it. So for now, I'm just going to feel optimistic about it. Okay. So overall, the outlook of the MCU. If Deadpool and Wolverine showed us anything, if for those who watched it, and I've talked to people who've watched it, and literally only good reviews, like great reviews. Like it's hilarious and it's just a solid movie. Like Marvel still knows how to make a good movie, and like a movie that people like at that. So I mean, they were going through a rough patch, but they're not like completely over. They still know what they're doing, and they still know how to put a pretty good movie together. Also, Marvel still has some really cool characters. You still got the Young Avengers, people floating around. You got Moon Knight, who is really cool, but also really confusing, and maybe needs a more grounded storyline to jump into, and then he could be really cool there. I mean, you also have She-Hulk, who maybe you could fix. Maybe if you put her into another storyline, maybe you could make her like not the worst. That would be pretty cool if you could do that. It would be a tough task, but maybe you could. You got Sam's Captain America, so you have a lot of these characters, and you still actually do have some other characters like from the old phases. I don't know what phase we're on anymore. But you still have some of the old favorites as well hanging around. So you have a lot of characters to work with. You're going to introduce more. And that's all good. The characters are all still pretty great. So them coming together is very exciting. So since my Redeeming the MCU episode, I think I've gotten more optimistic with all these announcements about their future, looking at the future movies, and less on their past, like, kind of iffy movies. The outlook is a little bit more optimistic. RDJ did help me get excited because, like, I mean, first initial reaction is just excitement without even thinking, because hey, it's RDJ. He made this, and it was a really nice and dramatic reveal. So it was pretty exciting. Pretty hard not to get excited about it, but it definitely helped me get a little more excited. And I think, like, even more so now, it looks like they're going to be able to pull together. I don't know if they're going to, like, reach endgame level with these new Avengers movies. That would be pretty tough to do anyway, but I think they can pull out some, like, some really good and exciting superhero movies if they stick, like, they've got a plan that's working for them. So if they could just, like, not go nuts and just chill for a second, stick with what they're doing now, see that it's working, and be cool with that. I think that's something they can do. So I'm gonna be optimistic right now. I think the future is overall it's pretty bright. I think for the MCU as of now. I hope. I just don't want to be wrong, because I just don't want to be disappointed again. But I'm going to be optimistic for now. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you guys for listening. Tell me how you feel about the future. Are you as optimistic, or do you think that they're gonna lose it again? What do you think about it? What do you think about these new projects? Are you excited, or do you just not care anymore? If so, that's fair. But comic book nerd, so I want to see what they can do with these characters. Make sure to subscribe or follow or do whatever thing that you do to get to, like, know when I'm doing new stuff, new episodes. Do that. Comment, please. That's fun. And what's the other thing that you can do? You can share with your friends and tell them about this super fun podcast that you listen to, and get me more numbers, because big numbers are fun. So yeah, do all those things, and I will see you guys next time.